Pleasure to introduce to you today our speaker. Steve and I go back a little ways. I do some work out at SIA with his group, and some of you may know Carol Shelby, which is Steve's spouse over on Purdue campus. But
or my great uncle Carol Shelby, the race car driver.
Oh. Well, let me go ahead and give you a proper introduction. Steve Shelby is the director of the Purdue Polytechnic Lafayette, one of Purdue's 10 statewide sites that we have here in Indiana. He's been with Purdue since 1996 and has worked at the College of Agriculture. He's also been with the Purdue University Development Office and Purdue Homeland Security Institute. He's a graduate of Hanover College, also holds an MBA at Indiana Wesleyan University. The title of his presentation is "You Don't Have to Cross the River to Be a Boiler." Don't have to cross the river to be a boiler, Steve Shelby.
Thank you. I'm going to just talk real loud. Is that all right? All right. So I'll take 2 minutes here, real quick, to say I'm going to put Mr. Riggs on the spot again. So just so you guys know, 37 years ago, there was a country kid from the south part of Tippecanoe County playing golf at the Lafayette Municipal Golf Course, and somebody was nice to him and adopted maybe the McCutcheon High School team, and he let us play with him. I don't know how many times, and he was the nicest guy. So he was a nice guy then, he's a nice guy now, just so you guys know. Who's that? Well, we think it's Steve Riggs. Yeah. And Max Bales, I appreciate you. And I was a 4-H member too, a 10-year member as well. And one more quick thing on 37 years ago, the Lafayette Kiwanis Club and this Kiwanis Club helped start a key club at McCutcheon High School. And I was part of that. So you never know what kind of effect you're going to have and how long it's going to be. Okay? So, hey, real quick, let me give a feel for the audience. How many people have worked at Purdue or work at Purdue now? Ah, okay. How many people have worked in manufacturing here in Lafayette? They're my stars today. Okay? So, I have the title up here, You Don't Have to Cross the River to Be a Boilermaker, to get your attention. Let's see if I can make this work. I'm going to talk about the closest statewide site here in Lafayette. And Polytechnic, Purdue Polytechnic is the old College of Technology. That's what it really is. We renamed ourselves. Hope we impressed all of you very much. But we're just across the river. And for those of you who worked at Purdue or still work at Purdue, sometimes it's hard to get across the river to see what's going on. I'm going to talk about some cool stuff that's going on right across the river. Not just at SIA, but some other places as well. So, Purdue Polytechnic is located at the SIA plant, the Subaru plant. Purdue Polytechnic has been out there since 1997. This is our 20th year. But I want you guys to remember 3 things from me today. Purdue has night classes. Purdue has night classes. Purdue has night classes out of Purdue Polytechnic Lafayette. You guys remember that? There'll be a test later. Okay? As a reminder, we are one of 10 statewide sites for Purdue Polytechnic. We go all the way up to South Bend. We go all the way down to New Albany. We're over at Vincennes, Columbus, Richmond, Anderson, Kokomo, and here at Lafayette. But what's interesting, if you took the auto manufacturers in the state of Indiana and started to position them within the state, you would see that in Princeton, Indiana, and Evansville, it's close to Vincennes. You'd see that Greensburg is close to Columbus. You'd see that Fiat Chrysler is close to Kokomo. You'd see that Subaru is close to Lafayette. And you'd see that AM General is up there near South Bend. Coincidence? Maybe. But it's kind of interesting. If you took all the manufacturing plants and started to lay them over the same sites where the Purdue Polytechnic sites are, you'd see the manufacturing sites there too. So I guess my point is here, as that Purdue Polytechnic is really out there to bring a Purdue education to all of Indiana. We have a fantastic campus here. We have a fantastic extension program as well. I really do think the extension program, by the way, is the crown jewel of Purdue. Because if you think about it, who else touches every county in Indiana? Who else has the best distribution network within Indiana at Purdue? Those guys, right there. So they do a great job. That was the plug for the day.
Thank you.
You bet. So we bring education to all of Indiana. I was at Anderson yesterday, Purdue Polytechnic there. You guys probably remember that General Motors used to be there quite a bit. They used to employ 27,000 people in Anderson. 27,000 people just in Anderson for GM. That doesn't exist anymore. But Anderson has kind of revitalized itself. There's a lot of interesting things going on there, from call centers to Purdue Polytechnic to little entrepreneurship centers. Lots of good things. In Richmond's the same way. Up in South Bend, they're kind of interesting. Down in New Albany, right across the river from Ford. It's kind of interesting. Most of these Purdue Polytechnic sites, if you're not familiar with it, they're on an IU campus. That's not a joke, that's true. Right? But they're on the IU statewide campuses with the exception of Anderson, our friends in Vincennes, and myself. So again, Purdue Polytechnic is quite throughout the state of Indiana. I want to talk about local industry for just a second. Lafayette. Let's bring it home for just a minute. Because sometimes we forget that our backyard is very important to us. From the Lafayette community at Glass to the 4-H to all these different folks. The Lafayette community is very, very important. I want to talk about manufacturing for just a minute. These are just a few of the major manufacturers in the community. Something kind of interesting. 17,000 people every day come to Tippecanoe County to work in manufacturing. 17,000 people. For every one person who works in manufacturing, 7 additional jobs are created in the community. That's a lot of jobs. That's a lot of stuff. Manufacturing, and this isn't a sophisticated definition, I'm sorry, in front of the program there. Manufacturing is, they make stuff, right? Yes, there are engineers who design things, but every day somebody has to put those pieces together. It's very, very important that you all understand what goes on in the Lafayette community in terms of manufacturing is huge. It's kind of interesting statistic. 1 out of every 10 cars made in the United States is made in the state of Indiana. 1 out of every 10 cars made in the United States is made in Indiana. 500,000 Hoosiers work in the automotive industry. 500,000. We hear a lot about agriculture, right? We hear a lot about Purdue. We don't hear a lot about manufacturing. And the reason I'm telling you this is because there's a gap that's being created out there. There's a gap. I'm going to talk about this in just a second. But there are people retiring, people my age, that have been in manufacturing for many, many years, and there's a gap at how you fill those jobs. That's part of what I do. But I want to make sure you know that gap's coming up, and if anything you can do to help manufacturing, please do it. Purdue Polytechnic, you're probably saying, why is it here in Lafayette when you got Purdue University here in West Lafayette? It's only 8 miles away, right? I hate to tell you, not everybody wants to cross the river over here to come to Purdue University. Doesn't mean Purdue is a bad place, doesn't mean that those are bad people. It's just that they can't cross the river. That's hard for them to do. We kind of kid about a curtain going down in the river when you go across. It does happen. Okay? So things go on over in Lafayette that you may not hear about over here in West Lafayette. But we have folks that, believe it or not, weren't able to attend Purdue right away. They weren't able to get a college degree right out of high school. However, over at Purdue Polytechnic, they can go day classes and night classes. Don't forget those 3 things I told you about, right? So Purdue has night classes. We have classes from 11 to 2 and classes from 5:30 to 8:30, Monday through Friday, where we have people who I would call non-traditional students come and take classes. I have 190 students at my site. Average age is 36 years old. Average age is 36. These are hardworking people who have progressed in their careers or maybe didn't have the chance to get an education and they wanted to get an education. By the way, I have probably one of the oldest graduates at Purdue University. Anybody want to guess how old my oldest graduate is?
79.
Keep going. Keep going.
99.
Go down a little bit. 92 years old. He graduated at 92 years old 2 years ago. So you're never too old to get a college degree. But the degrees you can earn over at Purdue Polytechnic Lafayette, organizational leadership, some of the things that Rodney's taught, you can get a certificate, an associate, or a bachelor's degree. Engineering technology, you can get a bachelor's degree. We do offer supply chain management, industrial engineering technology, and we're going to offer another degree come fall called multidisciplinary technology. This is kind of what I call a liberal arts approach to technology. But all these things are offered over there at the Subaru plant. Somebody asked me why we're located at Subaru. Anybody know?
They've got room for it.
They got the playground. That's exactly right. So if you don't know Subaru, please go over. We have tours over there. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 11 o'clock. Public tours. They would love to have people go through that plant. You get to walk around the catwalk. Takes about an hour 15, hour 20 minutes. You would be amazed what goes on in there. I wish I had video of the robots, because it's like a dance that happens. It's amazing. They put through 300,000 cars last year at Subaru. Oh, by the way, Wabash National, you heard of them before? They make trailers. 60,000 units a year go out of there. There's a place called Nanshan Aluminum. They're manufacturing. I heard GE mentioned. Who mentioned GE? Maybe a tour, Steve? Okay. Go on that tour. We make jet aircraft engines in Lafayette, Indiana. That's pretty cool stuff. Yes, sir.
Ice cream specialties, 3 million ice cream cones a month.
There you go. And that's manufacturing. That's food process engineering, right? Jump back to the GE jet aircraft engine for just a second. They have plastic nozzles in them, and those plastic nozzles are 3D printed. Anybody know what 3D printing is? So 3D printing is where you take like a plastic spool that you have in your trimmers, as an example, right? And they print layer by layer by layer by layer until you get a nozzle, and that goes in those engines. But GE has already taken another step further. They actually do metal 3D printing now. That's coming. Anybody remember Star Trek? The original Star Trek, right? And they used to go up to the computer, or you'd say replicator, make me an ice cream sundae, and they'd kick it out. Guess what? That's what 3D printers are. And guess what we have now? We have food 3D printers. So that's part of what I'm talking about. Manufacturing is vital, not only to Lafayette, but also all of us, right? So those are the degrees we offer.
Question.
Yep.
Is tuition the same over there as it is?
I'm glad you asked that question. Tuition is actually cheaper at the site across the river. Here's why. We charge per credit hour versus semester, because not everybody can take a full load of classes. I have people that take one class for years until they can get through. I had one person who graduated 8 years. But they keep going. Some of them go in, take classes, and they go out because life happens. They have kids, they can change jobs. That's an advantage of Purdue Polytechnic, Lafayette, the other Polytechnic sites. People go in and go out. Okay? Something else you might not know about us. We do workforce development training. Now, I'm going to tell you that we're just a partner in this. We live in a community that people don't always know how much is done behind the scenes. Anybody ever heard of the Tecumseh Area Partnership? Work ones. They are huge, very, very valuable. Throughout the state of Indiana, there are work ones, but we have an especially good one here in Lafayette, in our region. It's a 12-county region, but the folks at Work One of the Tecumseh Area Partnership have been responsible for this community getting $20 million in workforce development grants in the last 3 years. $20 million. That's a lot of money. What do we do with that money? We're training the future workforce in manufacturing. Remember I said earlier that people start to retire, the baby boomers, and there's going to be this great big void? Manufacturing needs people. Desperately needs people. But it's not the old manufacturing that we might have known from our fathers or our grandfathers or seen in the movies. Manufacturing today is cleaner than this room. If you go on the floor at Wabash or Nanshan or GE, you literally could eat off the floor. I kid you not. I challenge you to go find that. It is clean. There is no dirt. There is no grease. It is absolutely phenomenal. It's temperature controlled. It's air conditioned and heated. It's a beautiful facility. That's advanced manufacturing. So when people make cars today, it's not just taking a wrench and turning a lug. That's not how it works. They're waiting on those robots. They're maintaining those robots. They're making sure that when they push that car forward just enough for the robots to come in with that little symphony and that little dance I talked about and weld them, that they're just at the right spot. Because if they're not, they get screwed up. People don't like that. The paint job is so sophisticated on the Subaru that you have to go into a clean room environment. By that I mean you have to don special overalls, you have to use special shampoo, you have to use special soap, special hand lotion, and they check you every day. And when you go into that facility, you actually go through what I call one of those blowers that blows everything off of you. Because if something gets off of your shirt onto that paint, it dimples it. That costs a lot of money. So, but again, that's just Subaru. Wabash National is a phenomenal company here. They produce a lot of cool stuff, things that we think just take for granted that their trailers just going down the freeway. They're not. Something called DuraPlate. DuraPlate is a very sophisticated process of what that trailer's made out of. But you probably didn't know this, or maybe you might have. Wabash National diversified quite a bit. They actually have a facility in Huddersfield, England, that makes aseptic tanks. Huddersfield, England, Wabash National. Okay? We happen to have a relationship with the university over there, and we're sending students over there right now, too. That's kind of cool. Stuff that you wouldn't naturally know. But the community folks at Work One helped put these workshop programs together, helped us get $20 million. We work with local industry, not just those companies up there, but other companies around the community. And how do we train people in advanced manufacturing? Advanced manufacturing is not learning how to put a socket set together. It's not learning how to make sure that the rubber bands are all in one place. No, we'll put them through a variety of different things. We'll put them through what's called 5S. How do you make sure your work area is a certain way and a certain structure? How do you talk about continuous improvement? What's Kaizen? What's critical thinking? What's analytical troubleshooting? What's statistical process control? We put people through a 4-week course that may never have heard of manufacturing before. Is it for everybody? Nope, it's not. And by the way, we put them through work conditioning. So when you go through these courses, these are the training courses through Work One, you actually go through a work conditioning process where you will walk 2 miles a day. They'll put you in a weight room facility to make sure you can last. Not to wash people out, but to make sure people know what they're going to get into, right? So you're probably saying, well, gee, what, Steve, so what did they have these things, and what is it important to the Lafayette community? I'll tell you why. People like this work at Wabash, or Caterpillar, or Nanshan, or Kirby Risk, or Subaru, all these different companies. That's why it's important. Did you guys know that Kirby Risk actually makes huge wiring harnesses for giant locomotives? Kirby Risk here in Lafayette, Indiana, huge wiring harnesses. They make parts for these huge drills that drill oil. They make parts for Caterpillar. All these different companies here in Lafayette you may not know about. But the Region 4 manufacturing, I mentioned before that 1 out of every 10 cars in the United States is made in Indiana. 300,000 of those cars come out of Lafayette. 60,000 trailers come out of here every year. That's a lot of stuff. So we have a need for a trained workforce. You can't just walk off the street. As much as I love Rodney, he couldn't go in there today and put a car together or put a jet aircraft engine together. He has to be trained. There's a demand for that. And so we put him through this training. The demand is greater than supply. I'm a baby boomer. I remember when I got out of school, back in 82, the recession was going on. And you guys most of you are old enough to remember the recession of the 80s, right? You guys remember the recession of the 80s?
Yes.
Was it worse than the one we just went through? Or was it easier than the one we went through? I contend it was worse. People don't realize it because interest rates were at 21%. Unemployment was probably at 12 to 14%. It was a bad time. So when I tried to get a job, it was tough. People graduating today, the millennial generation, they can't get enough of them. There's tons and tons of job opportunities for those people. This is kind of interesting. Many of the companies that are out there today, 60% of their workforce can retire in the next 4 years. 60% of their workforce can retire. What's that mean? Huge demand for people. Huge demand. These companies, though, in Lafayette are pretty sophisticated. They know what their workforce is made up of. Many of them know that their workforce today, as an example, is composed of 30% millennials. In 5 years, it'll be 75%. Now, we've all heard stories about the millennials, right? Not that they're bad people, but they're just different. So how do you put them in this work? Yeah, he's heard of them. How do you put them in the workforce? How do you train them? That's what we're trying to do. That's what we're trying to do, because it's very different today. By the way, any idea how many generations are in the workforce today? At one time? Four different generations. Probably most of us were going through in our work history, we had 2 generations maybe, but there are 4 generations in the workforce. That's tough. You have the millennials, you have baby boomers, you have the silent generations, you have another generation. Everybody's point of reference is different. I saw the Klondike High School group. I wonder how many people would know today in the community that there was a Klondike High School, right? But their point of reference is Harrison, or their point of reference is McCutcheon, or whatever it might be. That's the same sort of thing with this workforce. People don't always have the same point of reference. The kids today, most of us, probably walk around like this, right? When I grew up, I remember the first cell phone I got was in the back of a car. It was about this big, it weighed 150 pounds. And I had the handset that came up through the front. I thought I was really something special, right? And then we know how they all came down smaller and smaller and smaller. And now look at them now. And now we see the people walking around with little headsets in their ears. This is how the kids learn today. This is how they learn. They'll Google something. They don't remember stuff. They Google it. Now here's the bad news. They also communicate this way. That's a bad thing. We have literally seen people type it to that guy right there on the line. We have seen that. That's a problem because people can't communicate face to face. So part of what we're doing.
Be sure to put it in real big font there. I wouldn't be able to see it.
Okay, we'll do that. We'll do that. But 2 reasons people fail in manufacturing today. One, they don't show up on time. They don't show up on time. There are jobs that they could make $60,000 a year or more, and people don't show up on time to jobs. Or they miss a day and they don't think it's a big deal. And they'll come in 2 days later. Well, I had a birthday party, or I came in late from a date. Or no, that's not how it works. Second reason that people fail today in manufacturing, they can't work in teams. They can't work in teams. I know, most people go, come on, I can't believe that. But not a lot of kids are in 4-H today. That showed them how to work in teams. Not a lot of kids are in sports today. That showed them how to work in teams. So we have to help people understand, how do you work in a team? What's it like to communicate to people? That's a challenge, it really is. But again, Work One, the Tecumseh Area Partnership, they got money for this community. And by the way, every time they get money for this community and we do training and they create a job at a manufacturing plant, guess what that does? That's good for all of us. Because those are the people who spend money somewhere else. We talked about the retirement wave already. Future growth opportunities. The jet aircraft engine from GE, they didn't just locate here because of Purdue. I hate to break the news to you. But they didn't locate here just because of Purdue. It's the workforce. Their thought process was that Subaru is here, and Wabash National is here, and Alcoa is here, and Danshan's here, and there's a company called Volstapine. Ever heard of Volstapine? They're another company here, right? They make little tanks for this company. I think you may have heard of them, called Tesla. You heard of Tesla? Parts for Tesla are made in Lafayette out there at 52. Okay. All these different companies are here, so GE said, hey, there must be a good workforce. But every time a new company comes to the community, what happens to the workforce? That's right, we got to bring more people in. That's why we want to train people as much as we can. I've talked too long. All right, if you want to learn more, here's who you talk to. I got a great staff out there. That's our web address right there. I do want to give this gratuitous slide one more time. You don't have to cross the river to be a Boilermaker. This was actually at the Tippecanoe Mall. It was up for about 6 months. Very few people saw it, which was kind of funny. This is where we're at. Okay, here's the test. What 3 things do I want you to remember? Purdue has? Purdue has? Purdue has? All right. Anybody got any questions?
Does Purdue have night classes?
I think they do. So what I'm hoping is you guys go out to all your Purdue friends or all your other friends and say, hey, I heard about this thing called Polytechnic Lafayette over at the Subaru place. Here's a guy named Shelby. He got kind of wild and crazy. I'm not sure what he's trying to talk about except for Purdue has night classes, right? There you go. We're located at SIA. Yes, sir.
What's the workforce population at the new GE plant?
A little under 200 right now.
And what do they intend to expand to?
I'm not sure yet. I heard it could be up to 300 range, but these are engines that are, the engines they make at the GE plant, and I don't know GE that well, but the engines they make, they don't go down a line like a production like a car. They make them in cells. So it takes a while for one of those engines to be made. But I do know, and Ron, you probably know this, when they were first opened, they had 6,000 orders for those engines. So, what? Big engines. These are the engines that go on the airplanes, on the 737 or probably 757, excuse me, or 777. Enormous. Yes, sir.
Chuck wants to know how many of the people aren't able to work in these jobs because they can't pass the drug test.
That's an excellent point. Yep, it's about, it could be higher than 20%. That is a problem. That is a problem. I won't kid you. There are people who get these great jobs, and I'm not kidding, you can make $60,000 a year with a high school diploma. And they throw the jobs away. So it's incredible, it's sad, but there is opportunity. So I'm leaving it at high school. Yeah.
What's Rolls-Royce doing at just west of here?
Rolls-Royce, there's a new building just out there on Airport Road. A lot of it is tied to Zucro Labs. So they're testing jet engines there. but that, and research, so that's connected to Purdue.
Okay.
That's separate from the GE plant. Totally, they're competitors actually,
I
which
think
is
that's
kinda
going to be
cool.
part of the aerospace complex.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
This has nothing to do with manufacturing.
I'm done.
How do your students register for classes?
They can do it two ways. One, they come in to see us, face to face, or they can go online and do it. You know, both ways. Yep.
Related question, financial aid for students in Purdue Polytechnic?
Okay, here's the cool part. This is the cool part. Thank you for, I couldn't have planned that question better. The majority of these manufacturers pay their people to go to college. The majority, Subaru's got an amazing plan. It's not tuition reimbursement, it's tuition deferment. They never pay a dime as long as they get a C or better. So it's pretty cool. Plus, if you're not a employee of a company that does that, they still can't qualify for financial aid through us. Sorry, Rodney, went over. Thank you very much.